So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to bring on my next guest, who many will know from Waterloo Road and has grown up now, of course playing Ruth Kirby. So let's say hello to the lovely Anna. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Really good. It's great to have you on because you still look like Ruth, but just grown up. So it's.
So many people say that, like, just not really changed that much.
I know that you watched the reunion. We were just talking just then, and you've actually watched the reunion. You said it was great to see everyone. Many of people you would have worked with as well on the show.
Yeah. A lot of people that I've worked with, but also a lot of people that I just know from previous seasons. Like the Waterloo Road Circle's quite tight. We still, everyone ends up sort of meeting each other. I mean, I've seen Lauren Thomas recently. I worked with Tatchia early 2020 on a radio play for Radio 4, and we actually played siblings, so that was really fun. And then obviously, Reese Douglas, Ben Ryan Davis, Rebecca Ryan, who else was on there? George Sampson, loads of people. So yeah.
So before you actually joined the show as a cast member, did you watch it as a fan and a viewer?
Yeah, I was obsessed. But I actually, as well, I know a few people said on the reunion, I was actually an extra. I did like a couple of days extra work, and eagle-eyed viewers actually have spotted me in the past, which I was so nervous about because they did ask, like, have you been in the show before and would you have been seen? And I was like, no, I was always just like in the background, sort of walking in the playground or something. I never did a classroom scene, but there was one bit where I was stood with Shannon Flynn, who played Emily James, and there's like a group shot and you do quite clearly see me there. So I was like, oh God, I hope I don't get I hope nobody notices. I hope I don't get like sacked before I've even started. But no, yeah, I was a huge fan of the show. Like, I'd grown up watching it as soon as I remember the first episode airing in 2005. Like, I remember seeing on BBC, they'd been advertising it for weeks, and I was so excited about this show. And then, yeah, just to be part of it was an absolute dream come true. I couldn't believe it.
I was to say, what's that like? Because many people who have done these kind of reunions, some of them have said they're fans, but to actually watch something, get to know the characters like Tom, Grantley, and then the next minute you're actually on set, you're seeing them walking around, you're working with them. What's that like? Because I couldn't imagine watching the show as a fan and then suddenly being part of it. It'd be such a surreal moment.
Surreal is the only word to describe it. Like, I remember the read through was the first time that I met everyone properly, and it was in the school, and it was in the hall, the big school hall, and they'd set all these tables up in a big like rectangle, and we were all sat around, we all had our names. And I remember going in there with my mum because I was only 13, so I had my mum chaperoning me, and I just walked in and I was like, Mum, it's Mr. Clarkson, it's Bradley. Oh my God. What do I do? And yeah, and just everyone, and Chelsea was obviously there because it was the series that she came back in as the secretary was when I started. So I didn't know that she was going to be back, and then saw her there, and I was like, oh my God, it's Janae. I was just like a kid in a candy shop. I was literally just so excited, but also trying to be professional because I was like, yeah, I'm here to do a job. I need to keep my cool, but also inside I was just like screaming. It was great.
So did you always, from a very young age, did you always want to be an actress? Was that kind of the ambition for you?
So yeah, I mean, it started, and nobody in my family does acting, and I was like sort of the first one, and I'd always loved sort of dressing up and doing all things like that. I think all kids do, but I used to have this poetry book that I would torture my grandparents with, and I'd go through this book and kind of act out all the poems from start to finish, and they'd have to clap and they'd have to introduce me, and honestly, I think they just needed me to have this outlet. So when I told my mum I wanted to do acting, she was a bit like, okay, well, not really sure how we go about this, but I'm from Blackpool originally, and we have this place called the Screen Theatre Schools, which is still going and going strong, and they have an agency attached. So I started doing like singing, acting, dancing classes there, and then just joined their agency, and just I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I was just, like I say, I was like 12 when I started there, 13 when I started actually getting auditions and stuff, and I just kind of went with the flow. But I mean, I wanted to be a doctor when I was really young, and I was always really into school, and you know, this kind of acting thing was just so far removed from anything that me or my family knew, that I just always thought it was sort of a dream, and I just ended up living my dream. It was amazing, really. But yeah.
So was Waterloo Road your first kind of big break in television, or had you done stuff prior to that?
Yeah, it was my first big break. I basically it was so quick, like it was just, I think, right place, right time. Look, I don't know what happened, but basically I joined the agency side in, say, the July. I auditioned for this BBC drama thriller 5-part series thing called Paradox, and that was the first thing I ever auditioned for, and I got the role, and it was just absolutely crazy to me, because I didn't know how this worked. I didn't know how difficult it was, and I just had this really lucky start where I kind of auditioned for the first ever thing. I was so sick with nerves. Like, I think my grandparents nearly had to take me home before I went in, because I was just sat there like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Because the character was like 16 years old, and there were other actors waiting in the waiting room, and I just kind of psyched myself up to think, God, why am I here? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But obviously it went in my favour. I got the part. So I did that summer. And then by September, October, that's when the Waterloo Road audition came through. And I was just, I just need to get this part. So again, it was like my second audition ever. And the first audition went so well. I remember being in Manchester, getting the train up there, did it. Michelle Smith, the casting director, was there, and Fraser McDonald, who was our like Block One director. They were both there. I did whatever the scene was, and they were both really enthusiastic, really like happy, really complimentary about how it went. So I was like there, 13 years old, thinking, yeah, this is great, like easy, done it. And they were sort of like hinting that I would get a recall. So I was thinking, yeah, this is great. I've absolutely smashed it. I've got it. Went back for the recall and did it, and I was kind of like, how good was that? And they kind of sat there and just was absolutely stone faced and just were like, thanks, Anna. And
Wow.
I kind of sat there and I was like, what? Because I still was so new to it, and I didn't understand. I'd just had such good luck from that point on, that I just thought, oh my God. And I remember getting on the train at Oxford Street in Manchester, Oxford Road, and I just cried the whole way home. My heart had
Oh.
sunk, and I just thought, that's it, I've not got the part. Like, because there was such a contrast, and at that time I didn't realise, you know, that you know, they've got to keep their options open. They're never always going to just be like hyping you up. I just thought that was it, that I hadn't got the part, and I was devastated. No one could talk to me. My nana had taken me there on the train. I was like, don't speak to me. I was crying my eyes out.
Oh.
And then yeah, and then I was going back to my classes, and because they were also my agents, they kind of told me each week that I'd got a little bit further in the process. So at first I was told that I'd been shortlisted from that and I was still in the running. So I was like, oh my God, okay. And then the week after, it was that I was down to the final couple. And then the week after that, I think it was about 3 weeks after the recall, I was told that they basically cast sort of a black version of the family and a white version of the family of the Kirbys. And they'd kind of, because it was open to any ethnicity at the time, like the characters they were just trying to find the characters. So I got told that they kind of cast two versions, and it was now down to like network, the producers, the people of which direction they wanted to go with it. And I just remember thinking, oh my god, please. And at that point, it was just completely up to fate. And luckily, they picked like myself, Lucy and Laviscount, and Will Johnson to play the Kirby family, and that was that. It was just crazy experience.
And what was it like meeting?
About a month.
I was going to say, what was it like meeting your on-screen family for the first time, like Lucy and did you get on straight away? Was there a connection?
Yeah, I mean, I was like this 13-year-old child that obviously it wasn't lost on me how beautiful Lucy and Laviscount was, and it still is. But at that point, I was just kind of like this little teenage girl that was like, oh my god, you're playing my brother? I was just like, gorgeous. I was like, Mum, oh my gosh. And we were sat next to each other in the read-through, and I think he was about 18 at that point. And I was 13, and we just got on like a house on fire. He was super cool, like just made me feel at ease. It was, like I say, one of my first big jobs, so I was still really nervous. And Will Johnson, who played my dad, was a dream. Like I've seen him not so long ago. He did a play at the Royal Exchange in Manchester. I went to see him there, and we still just like, it's just my dad, innit? he's just such a cool person. And yeah, as a family unit, it was perfect. Like we got on so well, and I couldn't have asked for a better on-screen family.
When you joined the show, there was a change in kind of the fact there was a new head teacher. There were a lot of new characters, so a lot of people that we were watching for a few terms had left to welcome a new group. Was that a nerve-wracking thing for you in the sense where there were so many new characters? Were you kind of worried how the viewers will take to you as a family? But did that go through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie, at that age, I was just kind of happy to be there. I wasn't really, I don't even think I realised that this was going to be going out and people were going to be watching it and having an opinion, because for me, it was just a dream come true. I just was lapping up every second, and it didn't feel like work. It just felt like hanging out with friends where occasionally some crazy thing would happen. Because, I mean, for me, it was like, I was still in school myself as well. So it was kind of like I'd just gone to this new school and stuff was just happening, and it was great. But yeah, I think it was kind of nice that there were so many new faces, because we were all kind of in the same boat as like newcomers to what was already such a popular show. So we kind of had each other's back, but also all the original cast that were in it were so welcoming and so lovely that it didn't feel like a big shift at the time. It just felt like this was the way it was. This was the school, and this was right. It just fit really well. So realizing when it came out how much of a big difference it was, I was kind of nervous for the reception, because my character obviously wasn't the she wasn't the nicest or most, I don't know, kind of
Quite
students,
full of herself.
I guess. Yeah, she was. She had a right attitude. But that was fun to play. I mean, my first episode, I remember filming all the stuff that happened to Ruth, or well, didn't happen to her, that she caused, all the trouble that she caused, was really, really great. Like a great few weeks shooting. Yeah.
If I remember, didn't you like run away and then there was a massive search to find you?
Yeah,
that was a huge story.
Ran to the Yorkshire Moors. She just left school, and she'd had enough. So her dad lived in the middle of nowhere on this massive hill. Well, so she thought, but then apparently it turned out he'd sold the house. So I don't know how she got there. I think she'd hitchhiked away up to the Yorkshire Moor. It was December, it was winter, it was foggy. And she gets to this house and realizes it's been sold. And I don't know how that happened or how she didn't know this, but whatever, she's got nowhere to go. So for whatever reason, she then decides to kind of walk through the moors, not go back to civilization. No, she decided to go and walk along the sort of moors of Yorkshire in December in minus degrees, and got lost and got stuck, and yeah, they had to come find her.
Well, what I wanted to ask, was it your decision to leave the show? Because you were in it for 13, 14 episodes, and then the character was gone. And I felt with the family there was room for so much more. You know, we were just starting to really connect to the family. They were involved in some big stories, and then the next minute you're not there. So what was the decision? You know, was it your choice? Was it the producers?
It was actually the producers. I do remember it well. I was by this point I was 14, because it was an 8-month shoot. It was a long shoot, so I remember there was conversations where they used to bring you upstairs, which was where the production office was. So obviously it was an entire school that we just had free reign of, and then upstairs was the big production office. So if you got called upstairs, it was like, what's going on here? So you'd often get called up just to have a meeting with the producer, just to so they could let you know where your storyline was going, and what was coming up in the next episodes, and they'd tell you about it. And then if you had any questions or wanted to discuss anything, that was the time to have the conversation. So I remember it was getting to sort of the end, and it was kind of open for me, and I sort of said, like, I would like to stay on, if there was a choice to do that, because I was having so much fun and I was really enjoying it. But for whatever reason, I think with the way that the storyline went down with Lucy and with Jonah and with Miss Montoya, played by the lovely Karen David, I think they just kind of decided to wrap it up, like kind of go full circle and wrap the storyline up there, because it packed a punch. I mean, I know a lot of people still remember that storyline, like they went off to Gretna Green and got married, and all the scandal of that series. So I think it probably was the right decision, because you can overwrite a character, and it was such an interesting storyline that I think if they kept us going, there was kind of no way for Jonah to keep going, because they would have had to have kept going with the whole Cheska storyline, and I think that would have encroached a bit too much on the next series, and keeping it within the school. And then with Ruth, I guess she kind of had made connections in the school, but then again she was still sort of this lone wolf that wasn't really fitting in entirely, and still had a lot to learn. So I think it was probably the right decision of the writers and the producers to kind of leave that there. But I did want to stay, and it would have been great to have been able to stay, but I mean, it's always better to go out with a bang, really, isn't it? So
Definitely.
I'm
And
happy either.
so, what's life been like since leaving the show for you as an actress now? You know, are you still working in acting, and what projects have you kind of done since leaving the show?
I am actually. I mean, it's no easy feat. This industry is insane, and there's no sort of stability to it, as I'm sure a lot of the guys will attest to. But yeah, I left Waterloo Road, and it was kind of my GCSE year at school. So for me, I just sort of went back to life and went back to school, did my GCSEs. But within that time, I did a few CBBC shows, because I looked quite young. So I did a few shows on there. I did something called Combat Kids and something called Stepping Up, which was super fun. Like, I loved working for CBBC, because you just got to be a kid, and it was great fun. You literally, like, for Combat Kids, I got like gunged, I got slime dropped on me. I was playing with this gun made out of a bit of wood, and it was just running around in. We actually had an end scene where we were driving around in a tank on the beach at Southport, which was great. It was just ridiculous. I was just getting paid to do the wildest stuff. And then I went to college, and still carried on acting and everything. And then, yeah, I've just basically, after 18, after I finished, I didn't go to university, I just carried on concentrating on acting full time. And I've been really lucky. I've had some great projects, and I've actually just got back. I'm in quarantine right now because I have just been in Madrid filming a new series, and I can't say any more about it, but it's very exciting. But yeah, I mean, I just feel incredibly lucky at the moment to be able to work. And, you know, this pandemic's been awful on so many levels, but especially in the arts industry, like it's been catastrophic, but it's been really positive to be able to work during the pandemic and see that it is possible. So I'm very hopeful for things to come over the next few months and things like that. But yeah,
Get
still
back to
working.
normal. Well,
Yeah.
I've got to say a massive thank you for coming on. It's great to talk about your character because, like you said, you were in it for 13, I think, episodes, 13, 14 episodes, but made an impact. And everyone knows and still knows that the Kirby family. It must be weird for you at the moment because with iPlayer repeating the episodes, it's got big again. So I know a lot of people are reaching out to you on social media because they're watching it for the very first time. Is that kind of weird for you that you've done this so many years ago? Now it's getting a lease of life again.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it makes me feel a bit ill to think about how long ago it was now. Because each year, I mean, this year in October, it will be 12 years since I started filming the show. And I'm just like, what the hell? I was 13 and now I'm 20, well, nearly 25, I'm 24. And it was just such a huge part of my life. So yeah, I think people coming back to it, a lot of young people coming back to it, and it makes such an impact. And I think it covered so many storylines and so many different walks of life, different characters, but also it just had such a good northern like soul to it. And I think that's what
Yeah.
a couple of the other people said, or the other cast said on the reunion. Like for me at that time, growing up at that age of watching it, it was the two big shows that I would say were on at that time were Waterloo Road and like Doctor Who. And those were the things that everyone watched, and it just did so much for sort of northern talent and um, sort of working class, showing working class backgrounds and showing the trials of being a teenager and getting through school. So I just, yeah, I'm glad that a new generation is now getting to experience it for the first time. But it is strange because it's such a long time ago now, but it's nice that it's still got legs and it's still making an impact today. It's really special to be a part of.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And hopefully, if we do another reunion in 15 years' time when you're 40, we'll get you on, we'll get you on that with everybody else and do another reunion
Yeah,
30 years on. But thank you for coming on the show today.
thank you, Lewis. It's been lovely to talk. So yeah.
Thank you.